Technology in Basic German by John Thompson. Foreign language curriculum requirements required for the lesson. Here's the objective of the presentation. The human brain is a complex organ. We are only now beginning to understand how it works. One of the aspects that makes the human brain different from an animal's is the ability to have language. We are the only species on this planet able to communicate through language using written symbols. Human language is still in the process of being studied. It occurs at a window of opportunity. This means that in 8 months to 5 years, if a child does not get stimulation of the language on the brain, the language will not develop. The area where language processing occurs is in the temporal lobe of the brain. In this presentation, we will examine a language lesson in German. We will also touch on the effects on the human brain, teaching methodologies, and technology in a German lesson. Views on the value of learning another language have changed dramatically through the study of the brain, teaching methods, and the development of technologies. In the 1960s, there was a sad truth to learning a foreign language. It was discouraged and seen as harmful to the brain. It was thought someone could become mentally retarded. It wasn't until the 1980s that views started to change. Studies by several universities, Penn State among them, showed that a knowledge of a second language is good for the development of the brain. MRIs of individual brains show the way the brain structure changes. In the lesson, junior high school students are at a point to learn German without an American accent. The most important part of second language is altering the brain by increasing neural connections and density through neuroplasticity. As a benefit of learning a second language, better decisions can be made. Memory, concentration, and attention improve regardless of when the student learned the second language in childhood. Multitasking improves. Perceptual sensitivity and understanding of others increases and reasoning improves. The student becomes more skilled in the native language. Creativity and math skills are also another benefit. Parts of the brain get bigger and the onset of dementia can be delayed by improving attention. In understanding the benefits, we need to look at the emotions governed by the limbic system. The limbic system is a part of the brain governing emotions from the central nervous, peripheral nervous system input for survival. Emotions tend to be in the lower part of the brain, the more primitive part. How a student feels at the time of the lesson will affect the way the lesson is processed in the brain. A student who is normal and an LD student who is also afraid will have a difficult time in learning the lesson. Recommendations were discussed for a self-contained LD foreign language program. However, there are a few special education foreign language teachers. As an LD student myself, I disagree with it strongly. For foreign language to succeed, a classroom conducive to learning must be maintained. A teacher must have command of the class. The goal of processing memory successfully is of even greater importance for a student with a learning disability. According to an article on learning disabilities in foreign language, LD students had an anxiety in learning foreign language. According to the thought of the time, students with learning disabilities were not capable of learning a foreign language. It was not until my sophomore year of high school that I had the opportunity to prove this theory wrong. As an LD student myself, German was one of the few places I felt accepted in high school. All people need to feel accepted. I had a great German teacher, and in the 3 years I took German, I had an A average with good memory of the lessons. I studied 2 additional years in college. Assignments and classwork can also play a role in anxiety. Students will feel overwhelmed and will not learn the material because their attention spans are short. Attention does increase the older a child gets. Anxiety also plays another part in tests. Students will pass the test with a calm mind, yet fail when nervous. It can be many things: the time of the test, confidence in the material, and a lack of sleep. 8.5 to 9 hours is recommended for 7th to 8th graders and will affect attention and emotion. When it comes to speaking German, we look at why we are teaching it to our youth. Like China, Germany is a strong economic power in Europe. It is the second most spoken European language. For example, double immersion in Utah with classes in Chinese and English are an experiment for foreign language learning. This concept could apply to German. It adds sense and meaning to learning a foreign language. With German, American students will have the chance to apply what they've learned while abroad in Germany. Teaching a lesson in German is the base for future lessons in German. Need to know and nice to know are things a teacher needs to decide when teaching their lesson in little bits at a time while building on previous knowledge with a setting. These tie into sense and meaning. Knowing how to introduce yourself in German is an example of needing to know. It has a higher order of importance in the information being taught. Knowledge of the history of Cologne or Trier as Roman cities are of lower priority. Sense and meaning can be demonstrated by the teacher, but it is the choice of the student ultimately to see the value in what is being taught beyond passing the test. Another aid in demonstrating knowledge is the application of technology to the lesson. What is TPAC? It is the study of the confluence of TK, technical knowledge, CK, content knowledge, and lastly PK, pedagogical knowledge. The aim is to ultimately use technology in a way similar as SAMR. TPAC builds upon these three concepts, increasing knowledge. Students are introduced to German content through technology. Students with learning disabilities, class size, and students from other cultures are part of the German study lesson. Whereas TPAC is more curriculum-based and technological in scope, SAMR looks into the incorporation of the new technology to increase learning potential. SAMR consists of four components. These are substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition. Each component of the concept has a stage or level to gauge how technology is used to educate the mind. First is substitution. Computers replace the German textbooks, notebooks, and workbooks. Students can take notes in their computer. The German-English dictionary is on the computer along with the other materials. Their use remains the same, and the initial tasks of learning the lesson remain unchanged. Their potential use increases at the next level, augmentation. At the next level, augmentation asks if there was an improvement over the old technology and its new contribution to the lesson. Word processing is an example of a new technology applied. Students can take notes, revise and organize the notes. A second question is how this technology contributes to learning the German study lesson. Students' work and notes are also accessible and shareable through document sharing. They can compare notes while learning file management skills. The content of the original lesson remains the same. The next level is modification. In modification, the question is how the task is modified. While students can share their notes online, the writing is easily readable. Students can fill in the gaps in what they learned. The new skills depend on the new technology. The digital replacement of books and an internet connection supplement the textbooks. Students can research anytime and blog. The new technology does drive the improvement. It contributes to the lesson by allowing document sharing, and internet access allows the students' ability to collaborate with each other. Students can also access the lesson later when their mind is more receptive. The final segment of SAMR, redefinition, shows an even broader amount of learning potential with the technology. Redefinition looks at the new tasks that can be done. Students can share their work with each other and in addition can share their work with a German partner school. Students will learn citizenship skills by mutually helping American students learn their culture while the German students learn the American culture and develop their English. Through Skype, students can see life inside a German classroom. In redefinition, the original task of teaching the lesson remains, but the potential for the lesson to become more impacting increases. Two groups are gaining experience in the other's language. This in turn allows the student to understand more than a traditional lesson. Content knowledge and command of the classroom are important to a lesson. At this point, my lesson is conjectural because I am not a licensed teacher. From my observations, teachers should be confident with the material they are teaching. If students pick up on a teacher not being confident, then the students won't learn the lesson. Foreign language teachers can show videos, share experiences of places on YouTube to show how they have applied what they were taught. In learning a foreign language, the best attention grabber is a change in voice tone during the lesson. This is important, or this will be on the test in different tones, are examples of attention-grabbing statements. The teacher can present the new material. Students can then review the material by practicing it with a classmate. Following the exercise, the German lesson is reviewed and another lesson taught. Here is an audio-visual lesson example. Time is critical in teaching a German lesson. The human mind will only hold a short-term memory for 30 seconds. It also remembers what was last learned at the beginning and then at the end. The middle of lessons are often forgotten. Memory needs to be active longer to increase the odds of turning the short-term memory into a long-term memory. Working memory will last about 24 hours. The structure of the German lesson has 20 minutes of instruction, 10 minutes of practice, and 10 minutes of review. Homework is a very important thing because it gives the opportunity to review classwork, manage time, problem solve, take responsibility for the education process, and planning and organization skills. German homework has typically 4 parts: vocabulary, writing, grammar, and reading. It is also used to prepare for a quiz, test, or exam. While subject for debate, homework does become more effective for older grades instead of elementary school. Optimum learning time does increase with age. Ideally, assignments are 20 minutes out of 90 minutes of total homework time in junior high. The prefrontal cortex is developing, and homework is more effective at this age. Assignments are spread out to aid in the memory of retention. Warm-up activities not completed in class time become homework.